Okay, so here's another update. As I'm getting more brainwashed memories returning, there's actually a third possibility to all of this. Um, and there's three specific memories that make this correlate. Um, there's this third possibility is I was actually originally put with a mob family. Well, no, I was born into a mafia related family, let's just say. I was kidnapped when I was really tiny, let's just say, before I could know anything. And that's when they put me with this supposed Trestka family in the real Wallington, but those parents were brainwashed to think, hey, they were just really the Treskas and a legit family. And the memories that correlate to that would be I remember we had this new kid in school. I don't remember his last name, but his supposedly he was mafia connected and he wanted to hang out with me. And I remember the telepathy saying his mom watches over him too well. She knows everywhere he goes. Plus, even if you and your dad brought him back, he already thinks that that's his real family. Um, so there's a possibility that I come from a completely different family. Um, Another third possibility is that the real Treskas, well, fourth, I guess, um, were on the run from something and changed their names, but they left their real son, me, behind. And because they moved out of state or something, and this was back in the 80s, not everything was done through computer, like things weren't, information wasn't as easily accessible. Everything was paperwork and things like that. There's a good chance that even though my real parents and sister and brother changed their last name, I wouldn't know what it is even. And so they had this cult family that sort of looks similar, at least to the best of my recollection. Who knows? This cult family take their identities. Because I remember one agent even saying 43 years to cover up one crime, plus our revenge and revenge and all this other stuff, all our payback, all funded by the U.S. government and shit. And I remember them saying shit like that. And then there was another girl who was supposedly connected to the mob in my early 20s that wanted to date me. And I remember the telepathy stuff. That's the part that's unbelievable. I get it, but the government does have that. It's like black op weapons. You could research it. They were using it even in Desert Storm. It's how they made countries pretty much surrender without really having to do much. You know, it was or how they would turn countries' publics on their own leadership and stuff. Mind control, man. It's a real thing. But I remember the telepathy telling her the other guy knows who he thinks that he's him. Or wait, it said something like, they're making me have a brain fart here. But it said something to the degree of, like, even if you like him and you and your family want to protect him, he still hasn't figured out who he actually is yet. Something to that nature. And that's why there's a good chance that I might have been my family actually has a completely different last name at this point. And that's why I always wondered why I never really looked too much like them, except for my mother, who was inserted, let's just say, at times, and switched up. I never really looked a lot like them. Like, I was always, you know, to my understanding, I had blonde hair, dirty blonde hair, and brown eyes early in my life. And then once I hit, like, I would say 5, 6, it started changing to brown. That's to my understanding. I heard that the reason why they chose Wallington is because it was a small town and easy to cover things up. And I just had a lot of strange experiences, like with them switching me around with these staged parents at times. Even one time when I went down the shore with supposedly my mom, my sister, and my sister's friend. And my little brother wasn't there. And I was even asking about him. Well, at first on the way there, I was like, "Where's Michael?" Oh, he's staying with grandma. He's staying with grandma or whatever. I forget what they told me. And then they kind of dropped the act on the way home, because we went to Seaside Heights, and it was like a look-alike of my sister's friend and a look-alike of my sister. And she's like, she goes in the back seat, "Oh, your brother's so cute." And I remember a look-alike of my sister going, "That's my brother. That's my brother. That's gross." And she goes, "Oh, but it's not your real brother." And then we got my mom is speeding, which my mom never did that. She's like trying to speed home, and we get pulled over by state trooper on the turnpike. she flashes him the old, you know, symbol, and she asks that he gets her license and registration and stuff, and he tells her this ID is fake. And he's like, who does this vehicle belong to? She's like, oh, it's my husband's. We work for a Chevy. He works for a Chevy dealership and stuff. And the cop comes back. He's like, you know, this vehicle comes back as a rental. And then all of a sudden, the cop is asking me for my ID because I was sitting in the front. And this staged mom was like, you don't have to give him that, Jay. Don't have to. And he's like, he's in the vehicle and he has a license, so he has to provide ID, blah blah blah. And so I'm a cop. I'm thinking, you know, it's a cop, so I just show him my ID. Apparently, they stole my real driver's license at that point because he gave me back some fake shit. And I'll show you how they even do this fake shit, because this fake shit look real as fuck. But then the lookalike mom was like, oh, I was just trying to teach you a lesson. I didn't want you. She's like, I didn't want that to happen. And she's like, don't worry, I'm gonna help you get your real license back. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, what's going on? But I have reason to believe that they that there's just too many weird fucking memories like that. I have reason to believe that my family moved to Wallington and something happened while I was very young without even being able to know it. Like, I was probably a kidnapped, trafficked kid and might have a completely different family. And they just made me believe, since they got me so young, that no, you're Jason Trestka from Wallington, from the real Wallington. While they started to, because it's kind of weird how it seems like they started to build this fake mock looking Wallington at the exact time around my birth, probably the 80s. That's just a little too convenient. Now they got me in an even smaller place that's not even like, it seems like there was 2 islands, let's just say. I mean, I don't know where these islands are. I don't know where the fuck I am. But one had the general area, like Wallington, Rutherford, East Rutherford, some of Passaic, maybe some of Hackensack up to the hospital, maybe Woodridge, maybe a little bit of Lodi, and then and Garfield, and you know, like something within, I would say, like, what's the furthest he'll walk, and check this out. And then they had this smaller one where it's like, it looks like it's just Wallington, but Asia version. And I believe quite possibly that there's a possibility also that the original Treskas aren't even my real family. That's a possibility. But that would be the family that I would know the most, is like the original Treskas in Wallington. Now, if the original Treskas bailed on Wallington and changed their last names because they were in danger, there's a possibility that I got kidnapped and replaced by either the real Treskas in Wallington or by Treskas that were once there and bailed and changed their last names, possibly because they were in danger. There's a possibility of both. That's where that like third and fourth possibility comes in. But I even remember in 2021-ish, they had a cop, because I was starting to catch on at that point that something's up. Now, I was only caught on to the fact that I was being framed for stuff I didn't do. I just didn't know what yet or what was going on. And I started noticing that these properties, even in the real Wallington, were being bought up by intelligence agency, military black ops, and just a lot of different shady folks. So I was walking in town, like just filming and stuff, some of the houses, and a cop comes and he's like peering over the fence and stuff like that. But anyway, long story short, he asks me for my ID, and he goes, "This is fake." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, it's the most realistic fake ID I've ever seen, but it's fake, and it says also that and this is where I think the property mobbing aspect comes in, because it says that you're the owner of the house in my computer system." And I was like, my father came to the door, my father, and I'm like, "No, my parents own this house." And he's like, "Well, it shows to me that you're the owner." And I was just like, "What are you talking about?" Like, and but anyway, like this most realistic fake ID, he said, that I've ever seen in my life. The only thing is it doesn't scan. It won't scan. That's how you know it's faked. And they did some weird fucking, I don't know, man. I don't know. There, like I said, there's a possibility I might have a completely different family with a different last name, and I was a trafficked kid myself. And the Treskas in the real Wallington are just a cover family, and they don't even know it themselves, because of the brainwash technology and how they can make people remember and forget things and how they can hack stuff. Because I even remember an agent saying, "Oh, if we have to switch him back again, that's a lot of work." Because, in other words, they went around to all my medical records and all my DMV records and anything that would have like identity, and they would, because, for example, the other guy might have blue eyes, so they would change it to blue, and they would hack all these different systems to do that and everything, from what I understand. And it's just crazy. And there was a couple incidences that make me believe, I guess you can say, is that maybe my family was completely different. They used to be the Treskas. They were in Wallington briefly, but they possibly moved because they were in danger or something, and they took the wrong kid with them. That's also a possibility. And then they had these lookalikes use their identity anyway as the Treskas. There's like multiple possibilities to this. I don't know at this point. And I just know that whatever Treskas lived in Wallington the longest, the real Wallington, those are the ones that I know best as being my real family. But who knows? Who knows? My real family could have been just have completely different last names at this point. I just know that even when my girlfriend supposedly got pregnant, they mind controlled the name that we chose because there's multiple of them. And I remember because Lily came in one day when she was enrolling him in preschool, and she said there was another kid with the same name and he looked similar, and the school said no though because they were too scared they were going to get them mixed up and stuff. But apparently he had like the same name, just the last name was different, the surname. And that's why I'm kind of afraid that my own son, if I have one, if that wasn't all staged, is a target of something similar here. Because this is just fucked up. Imagine that you went through all the traumas, you put in all the work, and went through all the hard stuff just for a look-alike to reap the rewards. That's what it's like. So, like, you put in the work to get that girlfriend, but the look-alike gets the real girlfriend. You end up with these look-alike chicks. You put in the work to finally get that job. Then they run an operation to get you out of there and put him in where it looks like you just left the job, but then he comes back. They even said that's what happened at my job at B&H. After I had the incident because they sent in lookalikes and I ended up quitting, they said the lookalike came back and got the job back. And, they ran all different, like, weird government operations to pull this off. And in the end, it left me clueless if the Treskas in Wallington, the real Wallington, were even my family. At all. And, the good news is the conscious swap stuff, it's not as effective as you get older. I realize that. Like they might have did a conscious swap thing on me when I was a kid. But I don't think so, because I even have the memories of having dirty blonde hair and then it slowly changing as I got a little bit bigger. But who knows? Because I was so young, they could have just put that in my head. As you get older, it's a little bit harder for them to put stuff in your head, though. I noticed that. And that's why the only advice I could give to anybody that's feels like they've been targeted by something similar, don't party, don't smoke weed and drink and stuff like that, because it makes it so much fucking easier for these motherfuckers to fuck with your brain. If you're already doing substances that make you have bad, like short-term memory or things like that, like it just makes it all the easier for them. You have to be completely sober-minded, because once I started getting more sober-minded, I started to be able to figure this out a lot quicker. And my other, well, no, because you can't really trust anybody during these operations. I was going to say, if you feel like you've been targeted by something like this, go see a hypnotherapist, because there might be memories that they can pull out that were brainwashed away. But then you can't really trust that hypnotherapist. They could be in on it. Who knows? You go in there for them to pull out memories, lost ones, and they're literally erasing ones or implanting fake ones or whatever the fuck they do. But like I said, this seems like some weird. I was being used as some weird cover. The real me, which is me right here, who has all the fake stuff, the fake staged photos, the fake this, the fake that, the fake IDs. They were framing me for the stuff that the real guy was doing, because the real guy was connected to the government. That's the way this all would appear to me at this point, because the real guy was able to get the CIA prosthetics, and because even with me, they said they had multiple lookalikes. Even the one day I went to the dentist, I thought it was, they had me brainwashed to think some dumb shit like, oh, maybe the guy committed a crime and he left teeth imprints or some shit, and that's why. But what they really were doing is they were trying to collect my dental records to erase it, as well as make fake prosthetic grills, fake grills for the other lookalikes to wear when they put on their CIA almost Hollywood style masks and different shit to fucking pretend to be me. And that's why I don't know. I mean, even to the best of my understanding, they did this so that they could use my identity to transfer the house over to who they wanted it to be to, and things like that. I know that they had lookalikes of my past 3 girlfriends. That's for damn sure. So they're all being conned. From Lily to Wandy to Madeline. Like, these girls were being conned in some way. I'm not sure. I may have a kid with any one of them. There's a possibility that my kid is actually with. I possibly have 2 kids, to be honest. One with one of the lookalikes of Lily, and one possibly with Wandy. I don't know. If I remember things accurately. And I'm not sure if in the real world, the real America and everything like this, but people have heard of something called the Mandela effect. But that's all the Mandela effect is, from what I'm learning. It's people who were targeted by these type of operations, and that's why they have different memories than people around them, because they were targeted by these type of similar operations. With me, they told me they were unwashing me so that I would understand what was going on. So I kind of have a better perspective of what was going on, where the other people who weren't the primary targets probably have one smooth timeline of events correlating to everything. Like, no, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Because they even showed me how they do that. One day I was rushing out by Lily's because they had me brainwashed to think that they were going to have the look-alike kill Lily and Asher and frame me for it. So I rushed out there, and also they hack everybody's phone involved. So they're in control of the communication. Like, you think you're talking to Lily, and Lily thinks she's talking to you, but she's actually talking to AI of your voice and an agent acting as a middleman in the communication. I realized that through time. And so they're like coordinating everything like handlers. And the bottom line is I'm screwed, because I remember them saying, even with the artificial telepathy, when I was a kid, after that mom picked me up from the store, not from the store, from the school, and they held me for longer or whatever, the telepathy said, well, you were just kidnapped. And then it followed up with, don't get kidnapped as an adult, because then you're fucked. That's what he said. He said, you have one more chance later on when you're an adult. Don't get kidnapped again, because you're fucked. But we're still going to try to bring you back home even now, because they found out that it was lies or whatever the fuck. And unfortunately it happened. That's why I'm in this foreign place now. And that's the problem. They were in control of my total life. And that's why they keep telling me, oh, your whole life was scripted. It's not so much that my whole life was scripted. It's the fact that they were in control of everything. And that's why one guy told me, he's like, it took us 1,000,000 mini operations to get this fucking end result of this bullshit. But as far as the Mandela effect, even, I remember the Mandela thing specifically because of these operations. And I'm not sure if that's a real conspiracy in the real world, or if that's just something because they even control your internet. Most of the internet that I get, it's like CGI and AI people and fake shit. Stuff that, like, if I went to the real America, doesn't even fucking exist. But if the Mandela effect is a real conspiracy in the real America, let's just say it's a product of these operations. Because even in kindergarten in the 80s, I remember my kindergarten teacher coming in and crying. She's like, oh, Nelson Mandela just died. And blah, blah, right? And then I remember the telepathy telling me, that's not your real kindergarten teacher. It's a look-alike, Jay. This is all staged. Like that, we... And here's the thing. My real kindergarten teacher, just days prior, I remember, I was a very observant kid. And I remember her asking the janitor, I can't find my keys. Do you know what happened to my keys? Because I think they got into her house and they fucking put her and her family, whatever, to sleep, and they sent in a lookalike that morning. And then what they do is they brainwash the person to believe that they were there. They'll keep tally of what happened that day, for example, in school. So when the real teacher comes back in, it's as if she was never gone. I've seen that. And this is also if this is a thing in the real world, this is what they refer to. There's a correlation to the targeted individual community. It's people who were targeted by operations like this or similar. And yeah, I don't know, that's all I could think of right now. But everything is fucked. I'm fucked. Apparently, this look-alike town now is shockingly similar to a spot in one of the Asia countries. So even if they're going to bring me back and forth from the real world to here any further, when I'm in the real world, I'm going to be stranded in some Asian country that I know nothing about. I know no language, know nothing. And if I And then when I'm not there in the real world, I'm going to be in the fake staged one that sort of looked like my town, that had a similar layout or something. Or this is just an island where uncharted, where they get away with doing whatever the fuck they want to people. I got a feeling it's something in that realm of things. And it's fucked up because I was framed all my life. The general idea of this was I was framed all my life by cults, government cults, and sea traffickers. And now they're still, I guess what you could call, trafficking me around as an adult. And it's fucked up.